Every thought, emotion, or memory arises from neural activity. For activation to occur, neural networks must receive sufficient stimulation. When a group of neurons reaches a critical level, activation occurs. Thoughts, images, memories, or emotions then emerge into conscious awareness. Inhibitory mechanisms then restore the network to baseline. The problem arises when factors such as stress or inflammation reduce the energy required for activation. Signals are constantly present within neural networks. As excitability increases, even random inputs can trigger uncontrolled activity. Our analysis suggests that multiple factors can cumulatively reduce the energy required for activation in the VCA1 region of the hippocampus. It may fall from around 18 millivolts to as low as 6 or even lower. Lowering the energy required for activation to such a level means that even physiological signals can trigger uncontrolled activity. What happens next depends on which networks are affected by this dysregulation. The VCA1 region connects to multiple circuits involved in memory, emotion, and the assignment of meaning. So, when uncontrolled activity emerges within specific neural circuits, this activity converges on the VCA1 region, where it can be amplified and brought into conscious awareness. As a result, the content of our experience depends on which network becomes active. Where less energy is needed for activation, signals can trigger uncontrolled activity, shaping symptom trajectories. Activation of rumination-related networks may lead to depression. Activation of trauma-related circuits may lead to PTSD, and activation of networks involved in meaning and salience may lead to symptoms of schizophrenia. For example, uncontrolled activation in fear and salience networks can generate internal signals that feel real. This can lead to thoughts, images, or emotions associated with threat or fear, even without external stimuli. At the same time, this abnormal activation engages reward and stress systems. It involves dysregulated dopamine signaling in mesolimbic pathways, followed by activation of the HPA axis and cortisol release. Over time, cortisol and stress responses destabilize neural networks. They increase inflammation, weaken inhibitory control, and reduce neural stability. At the same time, dopamine enhances the significance of these signals. This increases the likelihood of further activations, creating a self-reinforcing loop. Sustained neural activity places a high metabolic demand on neural systems. As energy demands increase, the ability to maintain ionic balance may become compromised. This further destabilizes activity and reinforces the cycle. Over time, sustained stress and metabolic strain reduce antioxidant protection, weakening network stability. Protective structures degrade, and activity becomes less synchronized. This impairs inhibitory control and disrupts network rhythms, leading to increasingly unstable and inefficient network function. As these uncontrolled activations repeat over time, they begin to shape the structure of neural networks. Repeated patterns of activity reshape the structure of the brain. Through neuroplasticity, frequently activated networks become stronger, while others gradually weaken. The brain adapts to this activity, reinforcing dysfunction. Which pattern emerges depends on the network that becomes dominant, and over time, this leads to the stabilization of symptoms. Importantly, networks with a reduced excitability margin more easily recruit new activity. New thoughts, emotions, or images can be drawn into active patterns. For example, fear-related signals can merge with ruminative thinking, creating new patterns that activate more easily over time and gradually become distorted. According to this hypothesis, a reduced excitability margin may act as a common gating mechanism across different brain disorders. The outcome depends on where in the brain this reduction occurs and which neurochemical and plastic processes are triggered. In this way, similar underlying mechanisms may contribute to different conditions, including disorders such as depression, schizophrenia, epilepsy, or neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. What do you think about this hypothesis? Do your experiences feel like they could emerge from patterns that repeat and reinforce over time?